everybody, and welcome to a very special edition of That Wrestling Show as we are getting ever so closer to the greatest weekend of the year, WrestleMania weekend. And Fro, this week we are talking about the Hall of Fame and the class of 2018.
Yes, we are.
That's going to be our big topic that we talk about. Plus, we are also going to review, or I'm going to review, I don't know if Ro's seen it or not yet, last Sunday's Strong Style Evolved event that took place in California, and some other news that is going on, because, you know, we're almost to the greatest time of the year. WrestleMania weekend is so close. I can just literally, I can feel it, Fro. I can touch it. It's right there. It's right there, Fro.
It is.
All right. So we're going to pause the music for now because, you know, we don't want to overdo the music. Yeah, you know what? Hello, everyone. This is That Wrestling Show, the only podcast where all pro wrestling matters. Forgot to do the intro. But no, you know, what are we, 9 days away, I believe? 9 days away from WrestleMania.
We are, and I'm getting more and more excited.
I am too. We will talk about the card next week, but I'll say this card looks fantastic, in my opinion.
The card of WrestleMania or the card of the Hall of Fame?
Ooh. No, not that card. The Hall of Fame, well, the Hall of Fame's a bit iffy, I'll say that. But I think the card for WrestleMania at this moment is a good card. I'm not saying it's the greatest card, but it's a good card for now.
I'm going to be the man that didn't like anything.
Okay.
I'm going to be Grunge Maku.
You're going to be a Grunge. Alright. That's fine. Well, let's get into some other news because, I mean, there is some news, like I said, but we do have two big things that we are going to talk about. So, I want to start off with Pro Wrestling Guerrilla. We never start off with Pro Wrestling Guerrilla because we've never had a story. No disrespect to the fine people of Pro Wrestling Guerrilla. They made an announcement yesterday or the day before that they will no longer be running shows at the American Legion Hall in Rosetta, California. So they will be going to a new location. Now, the new location has not been announced. However, they are going to do 3 more shows in the American Legion Hall, and that's going to be it. The reason that I have heard is there's basically new ownership and PWG, you know, respecting, you know, they're like, you know what? We've had our run here. I think it's time to go somewhere bigger and better. Now, I will say, and I've always wanted to go to a PWG show. It's all the way in California. I've always heard that venue, like, if you go to a show in that venue, there's no... Well, I mean, there is air conditioning, but they do not run it.
Really?
Yeah, they do not run it.
Why is that?
Well, I believe because it could be... If I remember right, and I could be wrong, they, like, it's too loud. I'm not really sure. It's a weird reason. But...
Okay.
But no, when they ran shows there, those tickets sold out in minutes. Like, they sold out quicker for the next show, every show, than how WWE has done this year for WrestleMania. That's how quick those tickets sell out. Plus, when they did run those shows at the American Legion Hall, some celebrities have gone to the shows as well. More notably, Sofia Vergara from Modern Family, Macaulay Culkin from the Home Alone movies, and Mike Patton from the band Faith No More would pop up at the events. So it was a gathering when you went to the American Legion Hall. So,
right.
But they will do today's more shows, 3 more shows, and that'll be the end of an era there. So, but on happier note, congratulations to The Miz and Maurice, who are the proud parents of a baby girl. Their daughter came into the world earlier this week. It was Tuesday, I do believe. Yeah, it was Tuesday. And The Miz put up on Twitter, and we do have a name. I actually like this name, Fro. You tell me what you think of it. Their daughter's name, Monroe Sky Mizanin.
Monroe Sky Mizanin. Me like, yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot better than Birdie Joe.
Yeah.
But Miz wrote on his Twitter, of course, our little girl arrived early. Welcome to the world, Monroe Sky Mizanin. 3/27/18, 11:40 p.m. Pacific time was when she was born. And so far, as far as I know, everybody's doing all right. Mom, baby. And this is actually a good thing that the baby was born early, because the due date, like the original due date, was the day of the Hall of Fame next week.
Really?
Yeah, so The Miz was going to miss the Hall of Fame ceremony to witness the birth of his baby. And now that she came early, you know, that changes a lot of things. But in all seriousness, I am glad, you know, that their little girls come into this world, and, you know, no difficulties, I guess would be the right word. So, folks, expect in 25 years at WrestleMania, what would that be? WrestleMania 60? We'll see Birdie Joe and Monroe Sky face each other at WrestleMania.
I actually hope that happens.
You know, that wouldn't surprise me if it did.
No. And if listeners are listening and my voice sounds a little difficult or different, it's because I have my sectima, or whatever it's called, in the middle of my throat. It's really, really swollen.
Oh, geez, you are a trooper, my man.
Yeah.
You are a trooper. Did you want some? Did you have some? Or no? Okay. All right. Other news to report for those of you who have the WWE Network, like Fro and I do. Next Monday, this coming Monday, is going to be a big day because old episodes of WCW Saturday Night will be put up on the network. Woo! That was Fro, I know you weren't watching when WCW was around. But,
no, I was not.
But before Nitro, Saturday Night was the show for them. That was their A show. 6:05 p.m. every Saturday night. I remember that perfectly. And most episodes would be 2 hours.
Oh, yeah.
Every once in a while they do an hour episode because of Atlanta Braves baseball. But Fro, I can't wait till you dive into an episode of Saturday Night. Those were fun shows. Those are fun shows. Not like the one that I reviewed a while back, but there are some good ones. I don't know I think I know which episodes they'll put up. It'd be like the first 2.5 years, but
Really?
Yeah,
That's long.
I'm pretty excited for that.
Yeah, that sounds really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, one thing that we should bring up is appearances for WWE Access, because that's going to be going on. That's their fan festival during WrestleMania weekend. And they... Whoa, what the... our computer next to me is getting attacked by spirits of computer past, I think.
It was me.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. So they announced, what talents will be appearing during the Access convention. And one that always catches my eye is who's going to be there the night of the Hall of Fame. Because there are some wrestlers who, we won't see at the Hall of Fame. We won't get to see them dressed up. So I have in front of me the Friday, April 6th schedule, their evening session. So the people I'm about to say will more than likely not be at the Hall of Fame ceremony.
Okay.
So if you don't go to the Hall of Fame, but you go to Access, you will be meeting the Bludgeon Brothers, Paige, Bray Wyatt. That should be a question mark. I don't know why he'll be there. Ruby Riott, The New Day. Ooh, I'm surprised about that. The Authors of Pain, Johnny Gargano, Breezango, Ty Dillinger, Billy Kay and Peyton Royce, Pete Dunne, WWE Legends, superstars from NXT, 205 Live, and more. So, most of them are NXT, but Paige I'm a little surprised about. Breezango I'm very surprised about. I would have loved to have seen a Fashion Files bit during the ceremony. But there's a whole schedule. I'm not going to go through it because it's a lot of people, But, yeah, I thought it was very interesting.
Okay.
Alright, you know what? I want to dive into our trivia because we had, we did have a winner, but we had a little bit of controversy. Not too much of a controversy. So I made the final call on this. And I hope you don't mind that I made the final call.
No, I don't mind at all.
Okay. So last week, Fro gave me a very good trivia on New Japan and Power Struggle. So our question was, what was the date of the show? Now, the answer to the question was November 12th, 2011. That's the correct answer. And we had two people guess. One did put the date in, the other put the year in. So, in the end, I just decided, you know what? I'm in a good mood. I'm in a giving mood. I will give both of them an entry. So, because we're so close to the drawing, next week's the drawing, and we're going to do it on our live WrestleMania preview special, so...
We are.
I thought we were. Okay.
Bye. Yeah, we are. I thought, yes, we are.
Oh, okay. So, so I just thought, you know what? I'll just give them both an entry because technically, person A, who I won't mention names today because I don't want to get him in. Well, no, I won't get him in trouble. He did get the year, but person B also got the date. So this is it. This is our last trivia contest before WrestleMania. And what do you have for us today?
Today, I don't have anything because my throat is fucking hurting.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
That's alright.
Maybe you want to ask me about something I don't know.
Ooh, okay. Goody. I might have something, actually.
Okay.
Let me look this up because we are so close to WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to guess. Ooh, what are you gonna? Oh, you know what? I got it. Oh, I got it. Since we're so close to WrestleMania, and the event is being held in the Superdome in New Orleans, Louisiana. Today, Fro, you are going to be questioned on Clash of the Champions 6. This event, this was a NWA/WCW, whatever you want to call them at this point in time. This event was held on April 2nd, 1989, the same day as WrestleMania 5.
Okay.
Now, I will tell everyone that they did not... Attendance-wise, it's going to be nowhere near the 70,000 plus that we will get next Sunday at WrestleMania. They did 5,300. But they did pretty good on TV. They got a 4.3 rating. So, that's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
So, let's dive into it. The opening match was a tag team match where the Midnight Express fought the Samoan SWAT team.
Okay, never heard of any of them.
Okay, who won that match?
The Samoans?
Very good, it was the Samoans.
Ooh, okay.
Alright. Then our next match was the Great Muta against Stephen Casey.
Stephen Casey sounds like a winner.
Oh, it was the Great Muta who won that.
Oh.
Then we had the Junkyard Dog facing Butch Reed.
The Junkyard Dog, maybe?
It was the Junkyard Dog.
Another one I had heard of those two.
Our next match was our shortest match, and I'll tell you the time in a minute. It was a match between Dick Murdoch and Bob Orton.
Ooh, Bob Orton.
It was Bob Orton in 33 seconds.
Wow.
Yeah. Then we had the NWA World Tag Team titles defended as the Road Warriors, Animal and Hawk, defended against Mike Rotunda and Steve Williams.
Okay. Mike Rotunda I have heard of.
Mm-hmm.
So I go with him.
You are correct. Rotunda and Williams beat the Road Warriors for the tag team titles. Then our next match was the Iron Sheik against Ranger Ross. And yes, that was a real name, Ranger Ross.
Oh. That's a good name. Ranger Ross.
Is that your guess?
Yeah.
You are correct.
Oh.
He won by disqualification. Then we had a match for the United States Tag Team titles. The champions, Eddie Gilbert and Rick Steiner, they defended against Dan Spivey and Kevin Sullivan.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
I'm just trying to. I'm trying to do three things at once. Say that again.
Okay. The U.S. Tag Team titles were defended.
Mm-hmm.
Eddie Gilbert and Rick Steiner were the champions. They fought Dan Spivey and Kevin Sullivan.
I will go with the champions then.
And you would be correct, sir. It was Eddie Gilbert and Rick Steiner retaining. Then we have the main event match. It was for the NWA World Heavyweight title, Ricky Steamboat defending against Ric Flair in a 2 out of 3 falls match. So two questions. Who won the match, and how many falls did it take?
3.
Okay, you're right on that. Who was the winner?
The first team.
Ricky Steamboat?
Yeah.
That is correct, sir. It was Ricky Steamboat, the longest match of the show. 55 minutes, 32 seconds. And because of that, the last 2 matches did not air live on television. They would later be shown on TV. I'm not going to make you guess because they were off the air by that point. Sting defended the NWA TV title successfully, beating Rip Morgan, and Lex Luger defended the U.S. title successfully against Jack Victory. Now, since this is the last trivia contest, the last one before WrestleMania, I'm going to up the ante on this. Whoever gets this question right is going to win 2 entries. That's right, 2 entries into our WrestleMania draw. So, here is the question. And Fro, you don't have to answer this. This is for our listeners.
Okay.
Who, or can you name the commentators for the Steamboat Flair match? Can you name the...
What's that question?
Can you name the commentators? And all I'm going to say, the only clue I'm going to give you guys, they're both well known. That is all I'm going to say. Still to come on this show, we are going to talk about the WWE Hall of Fame class. But I want to bring up this story because this seems like this is another story that won't go away anytime soon, Fro, and that is of the Fabulous Moolah.
Again?
Yep. We talked about how originally we were going to have the Fabulous Moolah Memorial Battle Royal thingy match at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
But because of Snickers, and again, you could thank Snickers for this, WWE was forced their hand, and they had to take the Fabulous Moolah's name off of it, and it is now, as of now, the WrestleMania Women's Battle Royal. Now, this is where it gets interesting, because 3 days ago, actually, a press release came out to defend the Fabulous Moolah. And 9 women wrestlers have come to defend their former trainer. And I will read the press release, and then I'll read some of the quotes from these individuals.
Okay.
Recent social media outrage has led to the WWE removing the name of legendary women's wrestler, the late Fabulous Moolah's, Lillian Ellison, name from a planned featured women's battle royal, which was to honor her at the upcoming WrestleMania 34 event set for New Orleans, Louisiana on April 8th. World Wrestling Entertainment was pressured to remove Moolah's name by the event's sponsor, Snickers, after rumors and unsubstantiated, allegations from such names as Sherry Martel, Luna Vachon, and Sweet Georgia Brown, involving Ellison's activities while a performer, trainer, and manager to many female wrestlers became echoed on social media. These claims involve accusations of stealing money, the drugging, and prostituting of female wrestlers who worked for the Fabulous Moolah. Now, in the wake of these allegations, 9 former female wrestlers who worked for Moolah have stepped forward to denounce these allegations against Moolah and proclaim her innocence. These women represent many different generations, and many of these women lived for decades at the infamous Camp Moolah, located in Columbia, South Carolina, where the majority of the rumored wrongdoings are said to have occurred. And I have in front of me some of the quotes from these people. So we will start with former WWE Women's Champion Leilani Kai, who lived at Camp Moolah for 20 years. Kai stated on a recent episode of Medusa's Full Throttle podcast, quote, "She had never once drugged any of us. She was a champion, she was a booker, and she was a great legend, and she deserves to be honored for eternity." One man who had been doing diligently to shed light onto this situation is wrestling industry insider Nigel Sherrod, who has been interviewing former female wrestlers that worked for Moolah ever since the controversy broke. He got 8 of Moolah's girls. They include former NWA Women's Champion Susan Tex Green, who said, was asked, "How much money did Moolah take from you?" She replied, 30%, which I signed a contract. I didn't have a problem with that. She was putting me in the ring, in front of the people, in front of the writers that put my face in pictures out in magazines. So I took that all in stride. As for allegations of Moolah pimping girls, nobody ever came to my room late at night. What?
What is your meaning about it? Like, well, what does you mean about nobody came to me at night? What does that mean?
Basically, no guy ever came to her room to have sex with her.
Like prostitute.
Right, prostituting, yeah. Lisa Darnell, a.k.a. the Golden Girl, who was the youngest trainee ever at Camp Moolah at age 16, said, "She never did anything that was inappropriate at all. And me being the youngest person there, like they said, she was pimping the girls out? That's just ridiculous. I would have been the one she pimped out. I was a young, fresh girl, you know?"
Maybe she was too ugly to be pimped.
Oh. Now, Moolah's own daughter, Mary Ellison, who also trained to be a wrestler, chimed in. She said, "I don't know who made up the rumors, but it's a lie. About Sweet Georgia Brown, I don't know who brought that up, but she did go with Buddy Lee, Moolah's ex-husband, when they split. Some of the girls went with him and some of them stayed with my mother. And the ones that went with him, I wouldn't be surprised if there were drugs and prostitution involved, which would be back on him, not on my mother." Brittany Brown, a multi-time champion, said, if anything like that ever did happen to me, I would have flown back home to Boston faster than you could even write her name down. And I'm sure most everybody else that I knew there would have too. I saw the contracts. It spelled out word for word, by the penny, what percentage she took. 40 years later or 30 years later, for people to say, "Oh my God, I can't believe she took 30% of my pay, I should have been getting that." Well, no. You signed the contract, you wanted to be on TV so bad, that 30% was okay with you. Was it high? I don't know. But if you thought it was, you shouldn't have signed it. Female midget wrestler Lil Diamond Lil on pimping out wrestlers, that's a lie. It never happened. Whoever's saying that is crazy. Winona Littleheart, Native American wrestler, said, "No way, she never pimped me out, and as far as I know, none of the other girls that I know." Former WWF wrestler Peggy Lee Leather, yes, that is a real name, wrote, "No, she was not a pimp. She was my booker. She booked me for a certain percentage. And all this about being a pimp, it just makes me just almost sick inside. Because that's saying that I was pimped out by the fabulous Moolah. She was nothing but a businesswoman, a shrewd one." Then, on allegations by the late Luna Vachon that Moolah forced her to take inappropriate pictures for a local doctor while she was underage, quote, I think it was Dr. Goldstein, and he liked women's wrestling, and he liked to take photos of them. Moolah would just, approach the girl and just ask them would they like to go out there. I know several of them that went out there. That went out there. Not one of them told me that he did anything derogatory in any way or mentioned anything about sex. When Luna got there, she'd already had 2 children at that time, and she was going through a divorce with her husband. She was in her 20s when she got to Moolah's. She wasn't 16. And finally, multi-time champion Joyce Grable said, "As far as I was concerned, she never sent me nobody. And hey, I had a good body back then. I was kind of pretty, long blonde hair, especially when I went to Puerto Rico, Mexico. If she was gonna pimp somebody out, I would have been number 1 on the list." Whew. So,
all those female wrestlers having such she would have pimped up me if she was going to pimp someone else.
Mm-hmm, exactly. I'm sure they're just defending her, which, she was an important part in their lives. I'm not going to deny that. But
I'm getting killed.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know if I can side with them or not. My only argument for there being a fabulous Moolah Battle Royal, and this is my only argument, is she was one of the more important female wrestlers in the United States. Because without her and Mildred Burke, there would be no women's wrestling, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. So, that's my only argument for it. And my argument against it is all these allegations that have come out. So, but you know what? We don't know what will happen. Maybe next year we get the Moolah Battle Royal. Maybe we get another name Battle Royal like we've discussed in the past. It can happen. So, we'll just have to wait and see. Alright. New Japan, they had a show in the United States this past Sunday, Strong Style Evolved. Holy crap, Fro, what a show this was.
It was good.
Oh my goodness. I got grades and I got Meltzer's ratings on this because he was at the show. So, and before we go any further, they did announce that the next time New Japan will be in the United States is on July the 7th, and on that night, they will be in the Cow Palace at San Francisco, one of the legendary wrestling venues of the world.
Jesus, okay.
So, there may not be cows there, Fro, unfortunately. So Jim Ross and Josh Barnett were the commentators. I just completely ignored them. So, opening match was a 6-man tag team match. SoCal Uncensored, Christopher Daniels, Frankie Kazarian, and Scorpio Sky against Roppongi 3K of Show and Yo and Rocky Romero. This was a good opening match, I thought. It was right time, right pace. It was a good way to start off the show. I think it was at the right spot for it being the opening match. Roppongi won the match. I gave this a B-.
Okay.
Meltzer rated this 3.25 stars. Then, now I'm just going to say real quick to everyone, there were a lot of tag team matches on this show, so... next match, David Finlay and Juice Robinson, who, and I'm telling you, Juice looked like he was Elton John if Elton John was a wrestler, faced the team of Gato and Hiroki Goto. If it wasn't for the next match, this probably would have been my least favorite match.
Okay.
To me, it was just...
wrong with it?
Oh, maybe that's them right now calling me. Maybe it's Juice. This was... It was an okay match. I mean, it wasn't a lot. I don't think the chemistry was there with all four, but it didn't bore me. That was the thing. So...
Where did you watch this, by the way? On the Evolve app or what?
Oh, it was on live TV on Access here in the U.S., and then it came up, I think, the next day on NJPW World.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. Finley and Juice got the win. I gave it a C. Meltzer rated it 2.25 stars. Then we had another tag match. Killer Elite Squad, Davey Boy Smith Jr. and Lance Archer against Toru Yano and Chuck Taylor, Chucky T. It was what it was. You had some comedy in there, but you also had a decent match. This was my least favorite match of the show. I just couldn't really get into this one. Killer Elite Squad got the win. I gave this a C as well. Meltzer gave this 3.25 stars. So he must have seen something different in that match that I didn't. Then we had Cody Rhodes and Marty Scurll facing the Gorillas of Destiny, Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa. It was Bullet Club battling each other. This was good. This was fun because the interaction was good because Cody, he was trying to get the crowd's approval and they would boo him, but when Marty, posed, they cheered Marty, and Cody was like, everything's okay, the Bullet Club is fine, and Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa, they weren't buying it. And I gotta say, Tama Tonga, he's starting to become one of my favorites to watch. He is so underrated. I cannot wait until they give him the opportunity to be given a singles push, because I think the sky's the limit for him. But I understand, him and his brother being a tag team for a while. This was a good match. There was a funny moment where in the beginning, Cody got beat up by the Gorillas of Destiny, and Marty was like, yeah, that's what you get, and then he tries to high-five the other team, and he gets beat up for it, but Cody ends up getting the win with the Crossroads. I gave this a B on this one. Meltzer gave this 3.25 stars. Then we had an 8-man tag team match, and boy, oh boy, was this a good match. So you had Los Ingobernables, you had Hiromu Takahashi, Sanada, Bushi, and Tetsuya Naito against Hiroshi Tanahashi, Kushida, Ryosuke Taguchi, and Dragon Lee. This was a very, very good match. There was a good point early in the match when Hiromu and Dragon Lee were in the ring, and they started chopping the crap out of each other. I mean, you could hear those chops left and right, and the crowd was going crazy. This was just a fun match to watch. Naito did end up getting the win for his team. This was a fun match. I gave this a B+. Meltzer gave this 3.75 stars. And then we had a surprise. Rey Mysterio was there.
Really?
So Rey Mysterio came out, and he's like...
Wasn't he hurt?
He was.
Or isn't he hurt?
He is. But he came, and he's like, I want to say I'm sorry, Holmes, that I got injured and that I was looking forward to this match, dog. And the crowd's like, no, it's okay. But he said that he will wrestle in New Japan and he wants another match with Liger down the road. So it looks like that match will happen at some point. which leads to the next match, Jushin Thunder Liger against Will Ospreay. This was a non-title match. This was just another good match. Liger, at his age, I believe early 50s, I want to say, hanging with the younger Ospreay. This was a fun match. Ospreay got the win. I gave this a B. Meltzer gave this 3 3/4 stars. And then after the match, Ospreay challenged Mysterio to a match. And not only did he challenge him to a match, he was willing to put the junior heavyweight title on the line. And then after that, Marty Scurll came and attacked Ospreay. Mysterio tried to help, and Marty pulled the mask off of Rey Mysterio. So, some interesting stuff in the junior heavyweight division. Then we have another tag match. Zack Sabre Jr. and Minoru Suzuki against Tomohiro Ishii and Kazuchika Okada. This, oh god, it was another good match. Good storytelling. And then when Ishii and Suzuki got in there, they were trading the hardest forearms and the hardest headbutts. And it was so intense. Like, the way Suzuki was throwing the headbutts, the crowd had to be quiet. Like, they were shushing each other so they could hear it. And Suzuki was giving the hardest headbutts. It just sounded like cannons going off. And it was just loud, and it was hard, and it was intense. And it was so great. You have to see this match just to hear it. Like, the way I could describe it could not do it. You have to hear it to believe it. Sabre and Suzuki got the win when Sabre made Ishii submit. 4 stars Meltzer gave this match. I gave this a B+. Then we had the United States title match. Hangman Page challenging Jay White for the title. This was another good match. Oh, this match was so good. Just good back and forth action. Adam Page is ready to be a breakout star in 2018. This was a very good match. Jay White's first title defense. Both men were going back and forth. You know, it was really, really good. Jay White got the win with the Switchblade, which is a version of Sister Abigail. And then after the match, David Finlay came out to attack Jay White, and he laid the challenge out for Jay White to defend the title against him, so it looks like Finlay's going to be the next challenger in line. Meltzer gave this 3 3/4 stars. I'm a little more biased on this match. I gave it an A-. And then the main event. Oh my god, Fro. What an effing match this was. The Young Bucks against Kenny Omega and Kota Ibushi. One thing that was mentioned at the beginning of the match was the time limit of the match got changed. Because it was scheduled to be a 30-minute time limit and ended up being a 60-minute time limit match. And it ran over the time that it was supposed to end. It was supposed to end at midnight here in the U.S. But, oh my god, what a match this was. It was incredible match. Great storytelling on the part of all 4 men. Because Kenny doesn't want to fight the Young Bucks. He doesn't want to fight Matt Jackson. But Matt's like, come on, bring it on. Let's have this. And it was so good. It was just great back and forth action. And Nick, you could tell at one point, Nick didn't want to fight Kenny. But Matt's like, come on, let's go do this. And, they're just doing all this stuff. There's a table got used, a chair got used, these insane moves all over the place. And then at the end, Omega and Ibushi hit the Golden Trigger, which is a running knee from both men on the Matt Jackson that knocked him out completely. They get the win in 39 minutes. And then after the match, Cody comes out, and he is having a bit of an argument with Matt Jackson, and he pushes Matt down, and Omega and Ibushi come back to save him, and Omega, wants to shake hands with the Young Bucks. Like, he wants to, be forgive and forget. Nick shakes Kenny's hand. Matt's like, I still don't trust you, and he calls his brother to go out. I gave this an A. Meltzer gave this 5 stars, and that does not surprise me. It was that good of a match. It really was. All in all, I would recommend this show.
Okay.
If you have not seen this show, because it is up on njpwworld.com, I recommend you guys go check this out. It was a great... It was a very good show with a great main event match. Very great main event match. Worth checking out. Real quick, and I saw this before I got on with you, Fro. Interesting Bullet Club news. Cody is retiring the Bullet Club logo. He's bringing in a brand new Bullet Club logo, and it's going to appear next week during WrestleMania weekend. So we'll just have to wait and see what that logo is.
Mm-hmm.
So, gonna be very, very interesting.
Interesting indeed.
Yes. Alright. Now the rest of the show is dedicated to the Hall of Fame, the WWE Hall of Fame. And before we go into this year's class, there's a very good article on Daily DDT, which you guys can get on your smartphones. And Trace Johnson wrote this article. And in this article, Trace ranks all the classes of the WWE Hall of Fame, excluding this year's, from the worst to the best. And it's a very interesting list. Now, he did not include Andre the Giant because he was the first inductee, so, but I'll go through the list, and I'll give you the key people in each group.
You can make an argument that this year's is one of the worst. I think so.
Well, we'll have to wait and see, I guess. Number 17.
Well, if you look at who...
Oh, yeah.
I mean.
Yeah. Number 17, the class of 2010, which is Ted DiBiase, Antonio Inoki, Mad Dog Vachon, Gorgeous George, Wendy Richter, Stu Hart, and Bob Uecker for the celebrity wing.
Yeah, that's one of the best.
Really? You think that's one of the best?
Oh, he says this is the one of the best?
No, he's going from worst to best.
Ah, from worst.
Yeah.
I was beginning to wondering.
Yeah, that's okay.
Because that's the shit list.
That was, and this is with all due respect to everyone that's in that class, not the strongest class.
No.
Number 16, the class of 1995. That is Ernie Ladd, the Fabulous Moolah that we just mentioned earlier, Pedro Morales, Ivan Putski, and Antonino Rocca, George the Animal Steel, and the Grand Wizard.
Is it a little strange that George is the only one I heard of? And...
Not really. Number 15, the class of 1994. Now, I would have this one a little bit higher in my rankings. This class is Classy Freddie Blassie, Bobo Brazil, James Dudley, Gorilla Monsoon, Buddy Rogers, Arnold Scullin, and Chief J. Strongbow.
He died of pneumonia, didn't he?
Who? Strongbow? I don't remember what he died of. That's actually a pretty good question. I'll have to look that up later.
I think it was pneumonia.
Okay. Number 14, the class of 1996. Now, I just want to say real quick, and I want to give a cheap plug to our Vantage Point, the Retro Wrestling Podcast. Joe Murata and Michael Quinn, they do a great job with their podcast every week. They recently did a Mount Rushmore and Death Valley of Hall of Fame classes. And this class of 96 is in their Mount Rushmore. This is who is in that class. Captain Lou Albano, Killer Kowalski, Vincent J. McMahon, Vince's dad, Pat Patterson, Johnny Rods, Baron Mikel Cicluna, Jimmy Snuka, and the Valiant Brothers.
Oh, good class.
My only argument is the Valiant Brothers. That should not... Yeah. No. Sorry, guys. That's not a Mount Rushmore group. That's just me. Number 13, the class of 2011. Now, this is a good-looking class. Shawn Michaels, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Abdullah the Butcher, Bullet Bob Armstrong, the Legion of Doom, Paul Ellering, Sonny, and Drew Carey in the Celebrity Wing.
Oh yeah, that was a good class.
That's a good class. Yeah, that was a good class. It's not top 10, but it was good. Number 12, the class of 2009. This has Stone Cold Steve Austin, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, the Von Erichs, Cowboy Bill Watts, the Funks, Coco Beware, and Howard Finkel.
This should be higher.
Well, you know what? I would agree with you based on Austin and Steamboat alone.
Yeah.
So, I'd agree with you on that. Number 11, the class of 2007. Now, this one I think should be in the top 10. Dusty Rhodes, Mr. Perfect, Nick Bockwinkel, the original Sheik, Mr. Fuji, Jim Ross, the Wild Samoans, and Jerry the King Lawler.
Wow.
That's a
good class.
That's a good class.
Yeah.
Number 10, the class of 2008. Ric Flair's the headliner in that one. Also in that class, Eddie Graham, Rocky Johnson, Mae Young, the Briscoe Brothers, High Chief Peter Maivia, and Gordon Soley. 10's a good spot.
Yeah. You can make arguments for both, I guess.
Yeah. Number 9, the class of 2006. This is Bret Hart, Eddie Guerrero, Mean Gene Okerlund, Vern Gagne, Sensational Sherry, the Blackjacks, Tony Atlas, and William the Refrigerator Perry in the Celebrity Wing.
I think that there should be lower.
Okay. All right. Number 8, the class of 2012. Edge, Mil Mascaras, the Four Horsemen, Mike Tyson in the Celebrity Wing, Ron Simmons, and Yokozuna. I would not have this in my top 10.
No. Me neither. That's a bad list.
And no disrespect to, anybody in this group, but the Horsemen's really the only big one in that group. I mean, you could make the argument for Tyson, but you could. But number 7, the class of 2015. This was Randy Savage, Kevin Nash, Tatsumi Fujinami, the Bushwhackers, Alundra Blaze, Larry Zbyszko, Rikishi, Arnold Schwarzenegger in the Celebrity Wing, and Connor the Crusher Michalek as the inaugural Warrior Award recipient.
Arnold Schwarzenegger just came out of a bypass operation, like heart surgery.
Mm-hmm.
My friend from the UK, Margaret, told me today.
Well, I hope he does well. Also want to send a shout out while we're talking heart surgery to Big Van Vader. He just had heart surgery, and the doctor said that his heart was a lot worse than they initially thought it was. So, hoping the best for Vader and his family. Number 6, the class of 2016. This is Sting, the Fabulous Freebirds, The Godfather, Stan Hansen, Jacqueline, The Big Boss Man, Snoop Dogg to the Celebrity Wing, and Joan London winning the Warrior Award. This is too high.
No, this is way too high.
I would not have them in the top 10 at all.
No.
Number 5, the class of 2017. Last year's class, wow. For those who have short-term memory, this class consisted of Kurt Angle, Diamond Dallas Page, Rick Rude, Teddy Long, The Rock and Roll Express, Beth Phoenix, and Eric LeGrand as the recipient of the Warrior Award.
I guess you can make an argument. I think it's last year's was good.
It is top 10, but I don't think it's top 5.
No.
That's my only argument. Number 4, the class of 2014. Alright, this is definitely top 5 in my opinion.
Oh, this is definitely top 5, yeah.
Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah.
Jake the Snake Roberts. Lita. Mr. T in the Celebrity Wing. Paul Bearer, Razor Ramon, and Carlos Colon. Yeah, this is easily top 5. That's a top 5er. Number 3. Now, number 3, this is my personal choice for number 1 for Hall of Fame classes. The class of 2013. This is Bruno Sammartino, Mick Foley, Booker T, Trish Stratus, Bob Backlund, and Donald Trump in the Celebrity Wing. If you take out the Celebrity Wing for this class, this might be the perfect class right here.
Oh, it's up there.
I mean, you have 4 former world's champions in Foley, Backlund, Bruno, and Booker T. And you have arguably one of the greatest female wrestlers of all time in Trish Stratus. And I'll never forget Mick Foley's first line in his speech when he did his acceptance speech. He was like, "Boy, I'd hate to be in that next class. That's going to be hard to top this one." And they almost did it, actually, if you think about it. Number 2, the class of 2005. This is Hulk Hogan, Jimmy Hart, The Iron Sheik, Paul Orndorff, Bob Orton, Roddy Piper, and Nikolai Volkov.
This is my number 1.
This is a very good class. This is a very nostalgic class.
Yeah.
And the number 1 class, according to the writer of this article, and actually he doesn't have a bad argument on this one, the class of 2004. This is the Junkyard Dog, Superstar Billy Graham, Bobby Heenan, Don Morocco, Harley Race, Pete Rose in the Celebrity Wing, Tito Santana, Sergeant Slaughter, Big John Studd, Greg Valentine, and Jesse Ventura.
Good one. Definitely top 3.
Oh, God, yeah. So at least our number ones, respectively, are in the top 3.
Oh, definitely.
So I'm going to leave it on our Facebook group, and I might even ask on our Twitter at Wrestling Show 11, what's your favorite class of the WWE Hall of Fame? Let us know. We would like to know. And now we go from honoring all of the past ones to this year's class, the class of 2018. What we're going to do is we're going to talk about each individual or tag team in the order that they were announced for the Hall of Fame. And Fro and I were going to decide if we think that person or persons ultimately deserve to be in the Hall of Fame or not. And we will begin with the first person that was announced, which was Goldberg.
Goldberg definitively should be in the Hall of Fame. Do I think he's such a big draw that they think? Definitely not, but it is what it is.
Now this is an interesting case, Goldberg, because he is with the exception of Sting and Flair, and maybe Diamond Dallas Page, the real only original WCW star that they ever had. And I remember the first match he had on Nitro. I remember that match because he fought Hugh Morris, and they're like, because they had Mike Tenay on commentary. This was before TNA. So they're like, so Mike, what do you know about Bill Goldberg? And he's like, I actually don't have anything on him. And they're like, you don't have anything on him? Oh my God, ladies and gentlemen, Professor Mike today doesn't have anything on Bill Goldberg. So
that's kind of my point, maybe.
Well,
it's a little boring.
Well, in the beginning, like, they didn't know anything about him. They didn't, have facts on him. And then when he won, it was a surprise because it's like, holy crap, this guy just beat Hugh Morris. And then he has that streak, which is impressive. It is. I think.
But you have also to look who he was going against. I mean,
that's true. Hogan. Well, he beat Hogan in the Georgia Dome.
Right.
And then he had the 2 runs in WWE. And I was listening to our Vantage Point last night because they did Hall of Fame bites about Goldberg, and they were talking about his last match from his first run at WrestleMania 20 with Lesnar. And the more I listened to it, the more I agreed with him that, Goldberg should not have gotten the blame or the hatred from the fans at Madison Square Garden that night when he fought Lesnar, because Lesnar was leaving to go try out for the NFL, and, well, we know how that ended up. I will say Goldberg's key run is 97 to 2000. It's like a 3-year period. And he was so huge. So, ultimately, I'm gonna say he does deserve to be in. And I can understand why he's the headliner. But I don't. If I was controlling it, I don't think I would have him as the headliner. That's just me, though.
It's a boring choice.
My thought, and I've had this thought for the last couple days, bro, is for the ceremony next Friday night. Mm-hmm. I wonder if Goldberg is going to do the entrance that he's done since he became popular. Like, from the locker room, have security guards walk him out to the stage for the Hall of Fame. That would be great. That would be great. Then the next inductees announced were the Dudley Boys, Bubba Ray and Devon.
I think this is better. I can talk. I think this is a better choice. I personally think so. But I really like this guy, so I guess that helps a lot.
One of the most successful tag teams of all time in the history of wrestling. Everywhere they went, they were tag team champions. It didn't matter what promotion, they were tag team champions. They were a key part of two, if you think about it, two golden ages of tag team wrestling in different promotions. In ECW and WWF. Not many teams can say that they were a part of two of the best times for tag team wrestling for two different organizations. Plus they had so many catchphrases and but of course there were other Dudleys. We should mention that. There were other Dudleys. There was, Spike Dudley, the Ritter of the Lunt. The litter of the runt. See, now you're rubbing off on me, Fro. I can't speak.
Mm-hmm.
You had Big Dick Dudley, you had Sign Guy Dudley, you had Dances with Dudley, you had Dudley, but these were the more successful of the Dudleys. So, them being in, 1,000% fine with that. Then our women's inductee for this year, Ivory.
Yeah, I'm okay with Ivory.
I think this is a good choice. She's a bit underrated as far as her impact in the women's division of the WWF. Because she was there when you had Trish, Lita, Jacqueline, Deborah, Victoria. Trying to think who else was in that division at the time, but no, she was underrated in my opinion, and for her to get her spot in the Hall of Fame, I think is pretty cool. So yeah, I'm fine with her being in the Hall of Fame for this year. And then we have the surprise inductee for our next discussion, Jeff Jarrett.
Yeah.
The one nobody saw coming.
Definitely never see this coming.
Go ahead.
No, this is a good pick. This is the only one I would be interested in watching, but yeah, I can't wait for his acceptance speech.
I look at it this way. As a wrestler, at best, he was okay. Although he did have two of the coolest catchphrases during the Monday Night Wars. The first one was "Don't piss me off," which he had on his guitar, and it was even a shirt at one point.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he went to WCW, he would call everyone slapnuts, which I thought was hilarious. Like, you shut up, you slapnuts. And I've never heard that phrase since. I thought that would catch on, but it never did. Maybe because it was Jeff Jarrett. Where I think he gets in is for who, as far as talent goes, who he brought into TNA. Even though WWE will not say that name, but you know it. I mean, AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, Christopher Daniels, Bobby Roode, Eric Young, Chris Sabin, Alex Shelley. The list goes on and on and on. And to be fair, if it wasn't for Jeff Jarrett, I don't think a lot of those guys 15 years ago would have been able to have the opportunity to showcase their skills like they did. Otherwise, those guys probably do not end up becoming very successful. So, as far as an eye for talent, yes, I think Jeff Jarrett deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. As far as a wrestler, Then our next inductee announced the recipient of the Warrior Award is Jarius J.J. Robertson. And Fro, I'll start this one off because I know you're not familiar with his story.
Nope.
He's a young man, a young kid, who lives in the New Orleans area, who is a survivor of double liver transplant. And he's like 14, 15 years old. He's not really that tall. But the fact that he was able to survive a double liver transplant, because I don't remember what disease he had, but he was very sick at one point. And to be fair, and this is nothing against him, because I do believe he deserves the award. I said this to somebody last summer, because ESPN, they have their own award show called the ESPYs. And J.J. Robertson was the recipient of one of their awards. And when I read that, I knew, and I even said to my friend, you watch, next year at WrestleMania, he's going to get the Warrior Award. And by God, if I wasn't right on that one. But and I've seen him on SportsCenter too a couple of times. He's very enthusiastic. I think you're going to like the kid. I think he's going to deliver a good speech. So, yeah, I think he deserves to be in. I'm 1,000% with this award.
Okay.
Then we go back to the wrestlers, and the next one is Hillbilly Jim.
Yeah. I don't really have any, stories about Hillbilly Jim.
Okay.
I don't really know him.
I am very happy that he is going in. This, to me, is long overdue. He's one of the last from the mid to late 80s of wrestling, of WWF, that is going in. And he never won a title in WWE, but he was such a good representative of the company. And he was so good, so loyal, one of the nicest guys you will ever meet. And I've seen him in person. He is so nice, so, welcoming, that if you have anything bad to say about Hillbilly Jim, folks, you have issues. That's how I'm going to put it.
Pneumonia.
Who?
No, nothing.
Oh, okay. But no, in all seriousness, he deserves to be in, because he was a big part of that 80s craze in wrestling.
Oops.
And for him to be in is really, really cool. Like I said, he's one of the nicest guys in the business. And, you know, and we're going to talk about him again in a few minutes because there's some interesting news or an interesting idea that'll be brought up. But as far as I'm concerned, 1,000,000%, yes, he deserves to be in. Then we go to our celebrity inductee for the Hall of Fame. And Brian, I know you're listening to this. If you want to skip over this part, go right ahead, my friend. It is Kid Rock.
Yeah, but that's what I said. There is no celebrity winning this year.
I hate to tell you this, Fro, but there is, and it's Kid Rock.
Nope. No, it's not. It's not possible. Because nobody knows who the fuck he is. And if they know who he is, they don't fucking care. There is no celebrity winning this year. Oh.
I think that's the sentiment of a lot of people. He's the only one I would not put in this group this year. I would not. Because...
Well, he's not a celebrity.
Well...
That helps.
Okay, as far as what he contributed to WWE, he did 2 theme songs. One for The Undertaker, for American Badass, although WWF, got the copyrights to use it for a little bit. And Stacy Keibler, and he did a cover of ZZ Top's Legs. He's performed 3 times on their programs. His songs have been used for pay-per-view themes. He was once married to Pamela Anderson. Other than that, I don't think he should be in. I really don't. So, Kid Rock's going to get a no for me. And our final inductee, the last one that was announced, Mark Henry.
Yeah, Mark Henry really deserves it.
Well, it's like I said when we talked about it not too long ago. How, I remember his first match and how far he's come. And in the beginning, he was so injury prone. There was a thought that this guy's a bust. But he ends up, and he stays with it. He sticks with it. That's the thing. He sticks with it, and the company sticks with him. And he ends up, if you think about it, he ends up being one of the more successful big men wrestlers that the WWE's had in a long time. Because, they've had Kane, Big Show, Great Khali, Heidenreich. Right now they have Braun Strowman, Harper, and Rowan. Mark Henry's an underrated big guy if you really think about it, folks.
Mm-hmm. I'm also an underrated big guy.
Well, so am I, I'm not the king of podcasts, unlike some other people are referred to, so. But anyway, all in all, I am all for Mark Henry going in.
Me too.
Alright, so now that we've gone through the people that are going in, let's talk about who's going to induct them and if we agree with it. As of this recording, we already know who's going to be inducting 4 of the 8. So we will talk about it and we'll see if we agree with that selection or not. And we go back to the top with Goldberg, and he's going to be inducted by Paul Heyman.
Oops. Shit. Yes. Oops. Yes. Yes. Paul Heyman.
My first thought, and I'm not trying to sound anti-Semitist, my first thought was, oh, they got a Jew to induct another Jew. But in all seriousness, from what I read, the reason that Heyman is inducting Goldberg is because Heyman was the one who took charge in that Goldberg-Lesnar series from the Survivor Series all the way to WrestleMania of last year. And Heyman was a big factor into that. So I think I'm okay with Heyman doing it.
Oh, definitely.
I'm a little surprised, though. I don't know who else would have inducted Goldberg. I really don't. But, oh well. The Dudley Boys. They will be inducted by Edge and Christian.
Yeah. No.
Really? You don't think so?
No.
Alright, who would you have had induct the Dudley Boys in?
I don't know. Not Edge and Christian. I don't get it.
Well, I'm going to be on the opposite side and say I do get it. Because Edge and Christian were a rival of the Dudleys when they got to WWF. And they were facing each other for about a year and a half straight. I mean, them and the Hardys, those three together. Personally, I would have had Tommy Dreamer do it. Because Tommy is about as close to those two guys as anyone can be. So, I'm okay with Edge and Christian doing it, but my personal preference would have been Tommy Dreamer. That's my personal preference.
Nice.
Alright, Ivory will be inducted by Molly Holly.
Okay.
I'm all for that. I'm all for that on this one. That's a good choice.
Well.
Okay. And then the final one before we get into our guessing game, Jeff Jarrett will be inducted by the Road Dogg.
Yeah.
Another interesting.
Were they enemies?
No, actually, when Jarrett had his first run in WWF towards the end of '94, the Road Dogg was Jeff Jarrett's roadie, quote unquote. He was known as the Roadie for a while, and I guess they hung out together a lot and were really close. Excuse me. I thought AJ Styles would have done it. That's who I thought it would be, but I'm actually okay with Road Dogg doing it. Okay, now for the other four. Jarius J.J. Robertson, the Warrior Award recipient. I think it's going to be Dana Warrior. Wouldn't you agree?
It's always Dana.
Yeah, I think it's going to be Dana. Now, Hillbilly Jim. This is the interesting one to me.
Okay.
Because Hillbilly Jim has said on the record he wants Hulk Hogan to induct him. And I can understand why. Because...
Yeah, but it's not...
No, I know. No, I know. But I understand why. Because storyline-wise, back in '85, Hillbilly Jim saved Hulk Hogan from getting beat up, and Hogan, quote-unquote, trained Hillbilly Jim to be a wrestler. If it's not Hogan, I don't know who else it could be. I really don't know.
Okay.
Maybe Jimmy Hart. That's the only name I could come up with. Kid Rock. Wow. Who's gonna induct?
Somebody that maybe. Oh, that would be fun. Maybe that wrestler that got one of his songs.
Oh boy, I don't know.
Maybe Sailor. What did
Stacy
you call her?
Keibler.
Stacy Keibler.
Oh, that's my girl. I don't want her comeback to be wasted on inducting Kid Rock.
I don't know.
And there's no way Undertaker's gonna do it. So
Nope.
there's no way. Stacy, if you're listening to this, please don't induct Kid Rock. Please don't. Save it for someone special.
Whoa.
Like me. Induct me. I can induct you into my bedroom, but that's... Anyway. So now you know who my wrestling crush was and is. And the last one, Mark Henry. Who's gonna induct him? This could be a good one.
John Cena, maybe?
I was thinking that too. I was also thinking Big Show.
Yeah.
I think that could be an interesting one. I'll give you an outside choice. I'll give you one that's a long shot. I'd like to see D'Lo Brown induct Mark Henry. Because that was a good tag team to watch when they were a tag team.
Yeah.
But no, I could see Cena doing it, and I could see Big Show doing it. I think one of those two is more likely to do it. Alright, so Fro, all in all, this class, the class of 2018, I'm not going to ask you a specific ranking, but would you put it as one of the best, in the middle, or one of the worst?
One of the worst.
And your reason, if you don't mind me asking?
Boring people with boring choices.
Alright. You know, oh man, it's not really a good group. It's really not that good. No, and we're not saying that, you know, none of them deserve to be in it, because they do deserve, most of them deserve to be in it. But it's just a weird collection of people in this group. I guess I'd put it as one of the worst, but it's not the worst to me. I really don't think. But we'd like to know your thoughts on this group, this class of 2018. Where do you guys rank it? Is it one of the best? Is it in the middle? Or is it one of the worst? You can answer that on our Facebook group, or you can answer it on our Twitter. One last story, I forgot to bring this up, and then we'll talk about next week. And it's our friends, Impact Wrestling, Fro.
Okay, what now?
Well, you know how they got a pay-per-view coming up in April called Redemption?
No, I don't.
Oh, well, they got a pay-per-view coming up in April called Redemption.
Okay.
Well, they are going to do their press conference for the pay-per-view during WrestleMania weekend in New Orleans next week.
Why?
Because they're trying to get some publicity.
Aww.
I
almost feel sorry for them.
The main event match is Austin Aries defending the Impact title against Alberto El Patron. That's the main event match.
Okay.
So, next weekend, during WrestleMania weekend, Impact Wrestling will do a press conference for their pay-per-view entitled Redemption.
Can't wait to not watch it.
Yeah, that'll put a lot of butts in the seats.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so on that note, let's start wrapping it up for this week. You guys can follow the show on Twitter at WrestlingShow11. You could join our Facebook group. It is That Wrestling Show fan group. Just type that in the search bar. You are right there. And if you can't find it, it's okay. Click on the link in the description box and you are right there. Check out the website, thatwrestlingshow.com. and visit my Patreon page, patreon.com/Bill's World of Podcasts, where if you become a patron, your donations help support not only this show, but the many other shows that I do. Fro, what do you have up this week on Another Digital Citizen?
On Another Digital Citizen, what do we talk about this week? We have an interview with a Trump supporter.
Ah.
Really, really, really good.
All right.
We talked a lot about what it means to be a Trump supporter and things like that.
Now, you guys didn't kill each other, did you?
No.
Okay. Just checking to make sure nobody killed each other. This week on Shark's Pond, I review the episode A Ladder to Heaven. That's a fun one.
Do you remember when they put the ladder to heaven?
Mm-hmm.
I remember that.
Yep. And while I'm thinking of it, in the future, would you like to help me review a movie?
Of course. What movie?
Basketball.
Basketball. I love basketball.
All right. We'll figure out a day later to do that.
Do that. Yeah.
All right.
When I am not feeling so bad in my throat.
Right. Well,
I showed someone. I showed Margaret my what you call the thing that's in the middle, dingling down.
Your tonsils?
Your uvula.
I think that's
you know what the uvula is?
I think I do.
Yeah. That is so. It was so freaking bad when I woke up today. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, I know you don't feel good, but you sound good.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right, so next week, this is it, Fro. The big one. The one we've all been waiting for. It is the big WrestleMania preview show. Because besides the news that we're going to cover next week, we're going to preview NXT TakeOver New Orleans. We're going to preview Ring of Honor's Supercard of Honor, and we're going to preview WrestleMania 34. Plus, during our recording, which you guys can tune in live on Facebook. That's why you should join our Facebook group, because that's where it's going to come from. We are going to announce some winners for prizes. How many prizes do you have? I'm curious.
I have 2.
You have 2? I think I will do 2 as well. Would you like to announce your prizes?
Yes, we have 2 one-year subscriptions to Bill's Patreon.
Awesome. I'll tell you guys my 2 prizes. One of you will get a special package from Pro Wrestling Loot, which we've done the last 2 times. That's been fun to do.
Yeah.
And a new prize. Something new.
Oh, are we not doing the special super prize?
Oh, what's the super prize?
One thing from your wish from your.
Oh, my eBay store.
eBay.
Oh, okay. That'll be like one of. Yeah, we could do that. That'll be like the grand prize from you and I.
The grand prize.
The grand prize. But I have another one.
Okay.
This is brand new. If you have an Amazon wish list, I will buy something from your Amazon wish list and it will go directly to you.
Oh, that's good.
So,
good one.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. All right. On that note, everybody have a good, safe weekend. If you celebrate Easter, have a happy and safe Easter Sunday. And when you are done celebrating the birthday of the Easter Bunny and the Easter Beagle, come right back here next week for the big WrestleMania preview show right here on That Wrestling Show, the only podcast where all pro wrestling matters. And as always, wrestle on! Bye.